Hi, and welcome to Swedish Linux. Linux the right way. Okay, now we're gonna talk about the problem I was talking about in my last video. And we have a very good and long time Microsoft and Linux user, and he's just saying straightforward why he choose Windows. Even he is one of the top line Linux user, and he's been doing Linux video for a very long time, and it's simply a truth, and we can think and like whatever we want about it, but in the end we cannot escape it. Let's take a look. And of course it's Titus Tech Talk. Let's see what he has to say.
To be honest, on Windows myself, not missing a thing. I just got bored and tired, to be honest, and sick of bouncing back and forth. And there's legit no Linux distro that I want. So I wasn't using Mac OS and Windows. I'm happy and don't want to change. That's the thing. Just people get like crazy, like religious. Like you attack the religion when you talk about operating systems. I don't really care what I'm in a lot of times. If I'm doing like if I was learning like Rust or Go, I would want to be in Linux with the terminal in a tiling window manager building my stuff. I would feel great and I would love it. But when I'm developing stuff for Windows, I need to be in Windows. And if I'm gaming, I mean, the gaming experience is still better in Windows just because you don't have to mess with weird patches, and some programs may be compatible and some may not. This is getting better, mind you, a lot better, but it's still Windows still wins this war by any measurement usually. Unless you're going retro gaming, then Linux kind of pulls ahead in the retro gaming space. But modern AAA titles, if you're a huge gamer, I mean, you're going to be using Windows. There's just nothing else out there. It's how it is. And I know people don't want to hear that. And I still love my Steam Deck, and I still applaud all the advancements we've had. But we got to be real. We got to tell the truth here. I hate it when I see Linux people lying to Windows user and going, "It's great over here. Everything just works." I'm like, what are you doing? You're just hurting Linux at that point, and I hate that. And I hate that mentality in the Linux realm. And I'm not overly zealous about any operating system. I still love Linux the best. If I was choosing one, I'd go Linux, Windows, Mac. Is how I rank them for me personally. But I understand. Again, use the best tool for the best job. I've said it a million times. I'm like a broken record over here.
Now you've seen what he's saying. Linux have his share of problems, no question about it. But you need to know what you're getting into. I mean, this guy can fix almost everything in a Linux. He even compiled his own Linux version, and so on and so forth. And still, he chose Windows. That's saying something. Why do someone that good on Linux not staying on Linux and go back to Windows? I believe it's two reasons. First, Windows is more like Mac OS. It just works. If you have the correct hardware and correct drivers, Windows is pretty stable today. I'm talking about Windows today in December 2023, the latest update. It works. I personally never really had any trouble with Windows since Windows XP time. Windows just worked for me. There's other reasons why I choose Linux instead of Windows. But you see, even he, who's that professional, he have the same career as me, working with the network and computers and servers and so on. But even he choose, because Linux is not stable enough as a desktop operating system. it's super stable as a server. But as a desktop, it's still too many things you need to tinker with and edit and change and copy and paste and so on and so forth to make it run. For example, my printer didn't work, my two screens didn't work, and when I make it work after editing config files and so on, I still couldn't get my 6K to work on optimus performance when it comes to colors. It's just too much to tinker with to make it work. And here's another example. The same guy again.
I was talking to somebody, and I don't know how to frame this in the form of a video, so that's why I'm just kind of bringing it up now. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But somebody tried Linux, and when he tried it big. Like he subscribed to all the Linux creator channels. He had Brody, Switch to Linux, DistroTube, you name it. He watched them all, and he really took the plunge. Did like 6 months back and forth. Even messaged me a couple times and subscribed through like my website, and I'd answer his emails and such when he sent them to me. And he sent me one like a day or two ago, and maybe I'll pull it up on the stream. If I had a copy paste, I probably would, where I could blank out his name and address. But I say all this. After 6 months, he finally just said, I'm done with Linux. I just can't. I'm going back to Windows. And I'm just unsubscribing and I'm moving on. And I was like, hey, man, that's totally cool. And he was mad because he was just like, he couldn't find like that forever distro to live in. And I said to him, I understand. And most people go through that in the Linux experience. But don't write it all off. One, you're going to need Linux in the future for a variety of different reasons, which I've gone through in a bunch of different videos. And I'll probably even touch on today when we get to talking about Bill Gates' newsletter. But I said, don't write it all off, because there's going to be great things coming in the future. And I don't think it's going to be an Archer Debian, actually. Or I think it might be a spin of Archer Debian. But really what I think it will be is a really big community-run, immutable distro. I know there's a bunch of spins right now, and I can fill up chat with all of them. But why I say that is because, you know me, I'll always be hacking around. I'll find a way to break every system I'm on. It doesn't matter what it is. Even Mac, I will try and break. And I've actually... I've definitely successfully broken Mac a couple times doing some kernel panics. And Windows, obviously, I've broken more times than anything in the world. And pretty much every Linux distro I'm on, I feel bad for the devs that had designed it because of how much and all the weird stuff I do to it to break it. But there's one that I have not broke, and I've used almost daily for an entire year. And it's SteamOS.
Now, like you see here, there are reasons why people are leaving. And I believe that Linux community, first of all, must push AMD and NVIDIA to make the same quality drivers they're doing for Windows they're doing for Linux. Then they need to streamline the two desktop environment, GNOME and KDE. And at least one of them should be the official version. Then we can make a spin like XFCE and KDE and all other Mate and so on and so forth. But they need to streamline Linux more, so Linux can be an alternative to Windows and macOS. And the second thing is they need to fix the drivers of the all main components. I'm not talking just the drivers. I mean, it must work. It can't be like my Windows, my Linux, sorry. I boot up and I get both screens. Second time I reboot, I get only one, or I can't even log in. It can't be like that. It must just work. And unfortunately, Linux is not there yet. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and push the bell notification if you liked the video. And soon I come with another one. Bye.